Oh, hi. This week, my brain feels like gack, that stuff you make with glue in school. Once it's stuck to the ceiling, because you and your siblings are monsters, and it's kind of just dried there and turned like an upsetting shade of off-white. That's how my brain feels right now. So of course, what a week to decide to make 2 different shorts patterns. Also, I've decided to have a beer, but have one that has coffee in it. What could possibly go wrong? It's only 9.3%. Nothing to worry about at all. Oh, I didn't do the here's what you need. Like I said, brain is gack. I didn't even do a good pour. This is one of my favorite beers. It's a coffee stout, an imperial coffee stout. Oh, it's so goddamn good. Here's the thing about this particular coffee stout is it tastes like coffee, where most other ones I've had just end up tasting like fucking chocolate, and that's not what I'm here for. I want coffee in my coffee stout. Oh, it's so, like, you can't even see through it. It's just, this is a treat. This is what I needed at the end of my day today. And I have a strong feeling a lot of you will understand why my brain is so fried, because I had to be around a lot of people 4 out of 5 days in a row last week, which is part of my job, but also coming off of a weekend of hanging out with some people I'm very comfortable with and aren't like draining or anything, but there were also new people I had never met coming over, and I just need time to recover from those kinds of things. So even though I have enjoyed pretty much every situation I've had to go through, it's just, it takes it out of me, and I haven't had time to kind of recoup. We're gonna be a little more low-key today, I think. I got Bert snoring away underneath my desk, and let's talk about some sewing projects. So these are free sewing patterns that I downloaded off of the Mood Society website. I did recently do another pair of shorts from them. This is my 2nd and 3rd attempt at a pair of Mood Society shorts, and I'm frustrated with all of them, but it's given me really good insight. I'm still glad I have done these. Probably plenty of tweaks I could do to the 2 from today to make them work for me. I need a little bit of a reprieve from sewing fucking shorts that don't work for me. I'm exhausted. That first pair I made were the eucalyptus shorts, which I am smitten with the waistband on that and will continue to use that in future projects, but I cannot handle the pant legs. So the first pattern that I actually cut out with that eucalyptus pair were the myrtle shorts. As with the eucalyptus shorts, I also used the flamingo dress from sometime last summer to cut out the pieces for these pleated ones, and I did have to get creative with the color blocking for the waistband, but everything else I was able to cut pretty normally and not even facing opposite directions or anything. I had taken the pockets I had made for the flamingo dress and serged them and got them ready to do as side seam pockets for this, but then realized if there's alterations I need to make, I am not fucking with redoing a set of side seam pockets. They're a pain in the ass and I didn't want to deal with it. Thankfully, I just didn't even bother, and now I can use those pockets for something else down the road. And the only piece I had to interface here was the waistband, but thankfully previous me had already notched all the pleats. I even thread marked the darts and notched the end points of the legs. Made it extra motivating for me to actually hammer this project out. That feels like a form of self-care, is setting things up to make life easier for future you. Something that's not my strong suit, but we're getting better. As she drinks a beer, that's definitely only going to hinder the rest of her evening/morning. Okay, so once I assessed, like, yes, I marked everything that needed to get marked, all my pieces were accounted for, interfacing was attached, I decided to tackle the pleats first. Now, these aren't pleats that are going all the way down the front of the shorts. I'm not pressing them in place from top to bottom like I did with the pleated skirt I made earlier this year. Actually, it might have been the first project I did this year because I didn't want to do pleats, so I made myself do pleats, which is kind of why these shorts are happening as well. So these aren't getting pressed into place, they're just getting folded over. So there's like first notch, you fold that over till it meets the second notch, a little bit of a gap, then you do first notch of that second set to the second notch of the second set, and there's a total of 4 pleats. Then, because there's a left front and a right front, I made sure that the other side of the shorts were pleated in the opposite direction. But I also had to make sure that, yes, one set was going to the left and one set was going to the right, but I almost had them going the opposite direction that the pattern needed them to be. So like facing towards the outside where they kind of needed to face towards the inside. So thankfully I double checked the pattern and made sure that the arrows were going where they were supposed to be going. So I did in fact manage to not fuck it up. Then to keep that all in place, I just did a basting stitch across the very top, like 1/4 of an inch in, so that it didn't interfere with any other seam allowance. I didn't want to have to unpick anything that I didn't need to. And then it was time to prep the darts that were on the back shorts pieces. I like to draw a line just so I keep it straight, especially if it's a longer dart like this one, where sometimes the little tiny ones, it's really easy to eyeball a straight line, but I don't trust myself enough for that. So I draw a line from that point where the notches are meeting up and it's folded over and draw it to the apex of the dart, which is where I had the little thread tack that makes this little triangle essentially. This is where normally I would add the pockets, and this is where I prepped the pockets to be added and then decided, no, not today, because it very much feels easier in my brain to insert side seam pockets after the fact rather than do them first and then have to take them out, redo them, take them out, and then not put them back in because I don't want to deal with it later. As far as adjusting things, like I just didn't have it in me. Then I attached them at the crotch seam, and then I sewed the waistband on. And this is where I was like, something seems amiss, because the waistband stopped before the edge of the shorts pattern stopped. And even though I pleated stuff exactly where it told me to, and I had pressed everything out beforehand, because I know that's sometimes an issue, especially with like a quilting cotton. If it hasn't been washed and it shrinks on you, that sucks. And then if you don't press things and prep it ahead of time, sometimes it can shrink after you started working on it, and that sucks shit. So this is when I took the waistband pattern and lined it up just to make sure it hadn't shrunk when I interfaced it, just to double check things and make sure I wasn't hallucinating. And it looked like it lined up fine, which was also super frustrating when it got to the point where I did the test fit, because if y'all remember from the recent denim shorts video, that pattern ended up being 7 inches too big for me, and it's from the same website. I still double checked the measurements ahead of time just to make super sure, but I ended up cutting out the same size. I would think that the same pattern source would have the same amount of ease and stuff like that. For example, I usually have to do the same alterations across any of the Tilly and the Buttons patterns. Whatever pattern I get from that company, I have to do that the same amount. So there's consistency across it, which is nice because then I know what to expect when I take that pattern, and I can do that kind of alteration ahead of time. I didn't do any alterations to this pattern. I assumed it was going to be too big on me and I would have to take it in at the side. But alas, when I tried it on, I could not get it to close at the back and just about had a meltdown. Though to be fair, my fuse is especially short right now. Good grief. Which means I have like a hair trigger frustration tolerance and was not able to deal with the fact that it wasn't gonna fit very well. So I took a breath, I walked away from that first pair of shorts and decided, great, I can handle an elasticated waist. Those are gonna go together no problem. The only pockets it calls for are back butt pockets, like the patch pockets where good old boys get a skull ring. I don't know what's happening to me. Anyway, I cut out all of the pieces for the Piper shorts, including the waistband, the pockets, which I actually didn't end up attaching to these, just to make sure I wasn't sinking even more time and effort into something that potentially wasn't going to fit or be something I was remotely interested in trying to make fit me and wear. This wasn't getting a zipper, it wasn't getting side seam anything, it wasn't getting any pleating. I just stitched 2 fronts together, 2 backs together, hit them at the crotch seam, hit them at the side seam, and then I promise I followed every marking that was on the pattern for where the waistband had to get folded down, and then folded down again, and where the marks were for the cuffs. I was really diligent about marking out my patterns, and yet I put the elastic in once I made the waistband channel, which, you know, you just measure the elastic around your waist and then stretch it until it's like comfortable but snug. Inserted that, tacked it down, tried them on, and they look absolutely nothing like the demo photos, and I'm so confused because it even warned, hey, these are really tight around the thigh, so make sure you measure that so that it's not kind of cutting off circulation or something. Warning that it was gonna err on the smaller side, and again, like, I put my measurements in. I do not have particularly narrow thighs, so I was expecting to have the opposite issue of not getting my leg all the way through, and yet, if I had suspenders on these, they would look like clown shorts. I mean, the polka dots don't help. That is something I will take accountability for, but goddamn, I just got so mad. I will say, I very much like how the waistband looks. Oh, and look who decided to join us. I think he can tell I'm getting flustered thinking about the process of sewing these things. I'm also sleepy. Maybe we take a nap after this? So yeah, when I tried these on and they were so far off, I know things need tweaks, but the sizing fluctuations between the first pair, then the Myrtle shorts, then these ones, I just didn't have it in me to do any more work on these. I think their sizing charts need to be standardized, and I didn't think I had strong feelings about this, but obviously I do. I did take the time to like properly cuff both pairs of shorts. I did sew the sash together for the paper bag waist ones so that I could get the full effect. And again, I do like how the waist looks on the Piper shorts, but I was too annoyed with anything else to really give it much credit. So I don't know how y'all feel about the final result here, but I just maybe need more time away from it, and I can double back and then futz around with the pattern some more later. And please, suggestions would be wonderful once I did what I could for those and tried them on, because they are at least very comfortable and flowy, but flowy is not what I was looking for with this. Out of sheer stubbornness, I went back and added the zipper and stitched down the fold of the waistband for the Myrtle shorts just to get the full effect, because I did have a hope that if I put the shorts on and hiked them up, like the rise, it goes too far between the cheeks, man. It is not a great fit as far as that goes. I was absolutely not expecting that to be the issue, but I'm glad I took the time to insert the zipper, because the waistband did in fact end up fitting. It's like a bit too snug to be comfortable to sit in. So I would still add a little bit of extra seam allowance to it next time I cut this kind of pattern out. If I cut this kind of pattern out, I'm undecided. I may keep the waistband because I like how it looked, but we'll definitely need some alterations before that happens. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about the pleats. The second time I tried them on, once I inserted that zipper, I did like them more. It's definitely just not a style that I tend to go for, and I am wondering if I adjusted the rise of the shorts, I would like them more. I do like how the legs fit. They're not like so tight I feel like my thighs are getting strangled, but they're not as absolutely ballooning off of me like the other two pairs that I made. And I got to practice another invisible zipper and sewing up the rest of that seam that meets with the bottom of the zipper, because for me, so far, that's been the trickiest part with the invisible zip. So if you have any tricks for that, I would also be appreciative of any information you're willing to share. So yeah, not the worst things I've ever made. I think what I have to do is take some of the shorts that I have, try to trace some pattern off of that, and then mix it with like some of the waistbands or some of the features from these 3 pairs that I've attempted patterns for. I do have a dress pattern cut out that's from that website that I want to give a try and see how a dress ends up coming out. I think it's like a button-up shirt dress. It's called the Shirley. Maybe we could do some kind of sew along if anybody else is interested in looking into that. Let me know. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on these styles. Do you go for pleated shorts? I have seen a lot of people in high-waisted pleated pants that look like trousers an old male professor would wear, or like Milo Thatch from Atlantis, that style. And I really like how that looks. I don't know if I would like how it looks on me, but I do really like the aesthetic of it on some other people that I've seen it on. If there's any tips or tricks to styling that kind of stuff too. The proper fashion side of things feels so foreign to me still, though I'm like trying to get more knowledgeable and comfortable with that, because I certainly do have my own style. I would just say it's not particularly refined, where I know what colors I like and I think I know what dress shapes suit me, but as far as like shorts and pant styles that would suit me, I have no fucking idea. I think that's gonna do it as far as the actual project. Sorry this is like shorter, and I'm definitely a little bit sleepy, a little bit more than a little bit sleepy, and just a little out of it. So I appreciate the patience. I mean, I did make 2 pairs of shorts this week. It's not like I didn't put effort in, but this feels just lower energy, and for some reason I feel guilty for that, but I'm asking you to meet me where I'm at. I will say the most fun thing I got to do this past weekend was some palate training for beer and how to tell what's wrong with it. So I mean, it wasn't tasting pleasant things, but it was comparing like the control beer to some samples that had been spiked with specific things that are most commonly a problem with beer. Super neat. Like an actual microbiologist that works at a brewery near me was teaching this class, and I had a lot of fun. I sent out some little care packages that really show my inner beer nerd to the Mail Time Perk folks. So I hope you find it interesting. I know at least one of you is into beer, but I have no idea about the rest of y'all. I know it's part of my hobbies and like one of my jobs as well, and just something I've been involved with for a long time, but I don't know if any of y'all give a shit. So I'm trying to share more things I get excited about, where I used to, sure, pour a beer, but never really like talk about any of this. And it's not going to become a beer review channel, but like, it's part of my life. So me mentioning like, hey, I fucking love the Tuck and Grind beer, and pointing out the fact that it is the fucking black abyss in my cup right now, I'm very into it. So if you have any beer nerdery you want to share, or anything else, like I get so excited about other people being excited about things. Bert is actively wagging with me talking about it, so he's also excited about things you're excited about. I love when y'all share stuff in the comments, and that's the best part about the Discord, is I get to see what y'all are working on or just what you're up to, and it's neat seeing what other people's interests are, and even if it's just like media you're super into, because I get way more hyped about Hamilton because Sarah gets so hyped about Hamilton. It's like my favorite part of the human experience is getting to share joy with each other. So if there's hobbies of yours that aren't sewing specific, absolutely feel free to tell me about them. Or if there's like a movie, or if you're in a theater production or something like that, like tell me all the things. I want to hear about them. Y'all listen to me ramble about random shit enough. Like, it's time to make more space for y'all. And speaking of Mail Time Perk folks, it is because of them and everyone else over on Patreon that I'm able to do this, and I can't thank y'all enough. I just absolutely love and I'm so grateful for this being one of my jobs and getting to spend time every week doing stuff like this and sharing it with everybody. So thank you so much for being here. It's one of the best parts of my week, getting to talk to y'all. So before I get any more deep in the cheese, me and this little guy are gonna eat a nice big meal and then go to bed very early, or take a nap and then go to bed. We will see you all back here with another video next Friday. Thank you so much for hanging out. Oh, I love you so much, but I do not want stinky kisses. No, thank you, but no thank you. All right, let's try this again and do a less bad job. Perfect.